During his second missionary journey, Paul and his companions had been traveling all over Asia Minor preaching the good news, but the Lord desired for them to proclaim his name beyond there, across the Aegean in Greece. And so Paul and his fellow travelers departed from Alexandria Troas and went to Macedonia. And a vision appeared to Paul during the night. A man of Macedonia was standing and was entreating him, saying, "Come over into Macedonia and help us." And after he had seen the vision, immediately we endeavored to go over to Macedonia, concluding that God had called us to proclaim the good news to them. And so, setting sail from Troas, we sailed straight to Samothrace, and the next day to Neapolis, and from there to Philippi, which is a leading city in that part of Macedonia, a Roman colony. And we stayed in that city for several days. The city of Neapolis, which is modern-day Kavala, was an important port city in the Roman Empire. It was a strategic military outpost and served as a gateway for commerce and travel between Asia and Europe. Located on the coast of the Aegean in southern Macedonia, Neapolis was directly on the Via Egnatia, one of the most significant highways of the ancient Roman Empire. The Via Egnatia was a stone-paved road built in the 2nd century BC that extended all the way from Byzantium, which is modern-day Istanbul in the east, to Dyrrhachium, which is modern-day Durrës in the west, covering a total of 700 miles. When Paul landed in Neapolis, his journey to Philippi was only a short 10 miles down the road on the Via Egnatia. Philippi was a prominent Roman colony in the province of Macedonia during the 1st century AD. Originally a Greek city, it was re-established by the first Roman emperor, Augustus, following the Battle of Philippi in 42 BC, and settled with many Roman military veterans. As a Roman colony, it afforded its citizens many privileges, such as civic and legal autonomy to self-govern, land ownership rights, and various tax exemptions. Latin was the official language, and Roman law, culture, and architecture shaped the city's identity so much that it reflected the mother city herself, Rome. After receiving the vision in Alexandria Troas over in Asia Minor about a man in Macedonia beckoning Paul to come and to help him, Paul came to Philippi. And in Philippi, he met a woman named Lydia. It was during the usual time of prayer that Paul met Lydia next to the Gangitas River, which resides only about 1 mile west outside of the city. The river was a convenient location for gatherings which were not sanctioned inside the city, like religious meetings or prayer. And Paul spoke the good news of Jesus Christ to her, and she believed, and she became the first Christian in Europe. When Lydia believed the good news that Paul preached, Lydia and her entire household were baptized, and she constrained Paul to come and stay at her house. During Paul's time in Philippi, he had an incident with a slave girl who was possessed by a spirit of divination. And when he had cast the spirit out of the girl, after many days of being harassed by her, her masters saw that their prophet was gone, and they grabbed Paul and Silas and brought them here to the marketplace. As a way to heighten the accusations, the slave girl's owners accused Paul and his companions of disturbing the peace and social cohesion that was so valued and protected in Roman colonies like Philippi. Romans were very proud of their culture, customs, and social order. Anything that could threaten or upset their prized society was viewed immediately with suspicion and perceived as dangerous. Thus, in the eyes of the Romans, it was better to get rid of the potential issues rather than to let things be. After being accused by the owners of the slave girl, the magistrates were irate
and tore their clothes, and they ordered Paul and Silas to be beaten and then thrown in prison. But in the middle of the night, as they were singing hymns to God, there was an earthquake that released the prison doors and broke off the shackles and bonds that were on their hands and feet. And the jailer thought that they had escaped. But coming in and seeing that they were there, he asked Paul, "What must I do to be saved?" And Paul told the jailer to believe in Jesus Christ. And the jailer received that word of the gospel of Jesus Christ, and he was baptized, both him and his whole household. And he invited and brought Paul into his house and set food before them, and they ate together and rejoiced.
This incident in Philippi was only the first of many that Paul and his companions would encounter in the continent of Europe as they traveled and proclaimed the good news to all who would listen. From Philippi, Paul would continue down the Via Egnatia to Amphipolis, Apollonia, and then to Thessalonica.